All right. Moving on now to news out of Yemen. 4 soldiers there have been killed at a checkpoint in the southeastern province of Hadramaut. Violence, according to government sources, has erupted in that region after local tribesmen in the area called on government forces to withdraw. YOUSEF MAWRY joins us now by Skype with more on that. YOUSEF, who is believed to be behind that killing, and has anybody claimed responsibility for the attack?
Well, actually, throughout the past week, a number of incidents have broken out in the south of the country in general, mainly in the southeast province of Hadramaut, where numerous soldiers have been killed this past week. The clashes have been taking place between armed tribesmen of that region, who are basically calling on the government to withdraw from the area because the security forces loyal to the government, they killed this tribal chief about 2 to 3 weeks ago at a military checkpoint, in which the security forces, they asked the local tribesmen to hand over their weapons, which they had with them in the car. Of course, the tribal leader, he rejected, which resulted in an altercation. And of course, it led to clashes back and forth between the tribesmen, his guards, and the security forces. And of course, it led to the killing of the prominent tribal chief of Hadramaut. Now, after that incident, the local tribes of that region, they got together. They said, okay, we have to take this initiative, and we basically want the Yemeni government, the Yemeni forces, to withdraw from Hadramaut. And they have actually issued a list of demands to the government, one of which is for the complete withdrawal of the Yemeni forces, as I mentioned. And also, these tribes, they want the Yemeni government to hand over the personnel, the soldiers who were actually responsible for the killing of the tribal chief. Their third demand is for the Yemeni government to provide the people of Hadramaut with job opportunities and employment, something which people in that region and in the south in general have been complaining about for many years. And this is something which has led to the violent clashes which has broken out in Hadramaut, in the southern province of Shabwa, and also in the southern port city of Aden, where clashes take place for the fourth consecutive day in a row. Residents of that area and also militants of that area have waged attacks on police academies, police stations, and governmental posts. And these attacks are continuing on a daily basis. The Yemeni government has simply been...
No, well, I was going to say, it sounds like it is continuing to escalate and that it's getting worse in recent days. And it sounds as though that the conflict is as much about the economy and getting, what people are seeing as the government's responsibility to perhaps provide for the people versus the tribal elders that you say have been taken out and now may be retaliated against. And can you expound a little bit more on what that's like on the ground for the people who actually are there day in and day out?
Yes, well, I can tell you that the Yemeni people are very frustrated over this transitional government, which was formed in 2011 in a peace transfer deal, which was signed between the former ruler Ali Abdullah Saleh and members of Yemen's opposition. This government consists of 50 members of Ali Abdullah Saleh's regime and 50% of Yemen's opposition coalition. This Yemeni government, according to many people in these areas, has failed to provide the basic needs of the people, has failed to provide electricity, has failed to provide fuel, and also cooking gas. And one of the main things which has frustrated the Yemeni people is the security meltdown, which the Yemeni people feel the Yemeni government has failed to secure the people, along with public installations which are prone or are continuing to be sabotaged on a daily basis. Yemeni people are sitting here without electricity, without internet, without basic necessities, which is vital to sustain a decent way of living. So the Yemeni people have been taken out to the streets these past few weeks, calling for the downfall of the government, calling for a government which will represent the Yemeni people's demands.
Their demands. And really a quick answer, this is just a short, what does this really mean about the stability in the region going forward? What can we know about the stability in Yemen going forward based on this latest attack?
Well, the only hope, the only political hope right now is that which is left in the National Dialogue Conference. The National Dialogue Conference is on the verge of ending. It consists of 565 members of Yemen's opposition, of Yemen's political factions who have been negotiating and trying to adopt new resolutions and adopt a new Yemeni constitution, which will be implemented and which will basically tackle all of these pressing issues which are currently taking place here in the country. The last thing which took place is that the political factions of Yemen have came to an agreement that there will be a federal system implemented here in Yemen, which will consist of 7 autonomous regions, which will be controlled by their own government. However, Southern movement and Southern separatists are rejecting this as they're demanding for an independent Southern state.
An independent Southern state. Definitely something that we will continue to monitor. YOUSEF MawrY, thank you so much for that report. We appreciate your time. All right, moving on now. Time to take a look at other news capturing headlines all around the globe in our Arise World News Wrap. As we mentioned at the top of the show, in Turkey, Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan reshuffled his cabinet Thursday following the resignation of 3 government ministers entangled in an ongoing high-level corruption investigation. Many in Turkey are calling for the Prime Minister's resignation, including one of the ministers who stepped down Wednesday. Well, controversy erupted Thursday when Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe paid tribute to the souls of the Japan's war dead at a shrine in Tokyo. South Korea and China viewed the act by Abe as lacking repentance for Japanese war crimes in World War II, but the Prime Minister said that his visit to the shrine represented a pledge against war. To Brazil now, where efforts are underway to help victims of a flood that left 30 people dead and displaced more than 50,000 others. The government deployed army troops Thursday to distribute food, water, and medicine to victims. And in Bangladesh, the main opposition party accused authorities on Thursday of placing their leader under virtual house arrest. This coming as thousands of government troops are deployed nationwide to prevent violence ahead of the January 5th general elections. And Russian forensic scientists have concluded that former Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat did indeed die of natural causes. This supporting a French inquiry that refuted a Swiss study that said that Arafat had died of poisoning. In Thailand, the government has rejected calls for the Electoral Commission to delay February's election. The commission expressed concern about public safety as demonstrators continue their efforts to remove the current prime minister. And that is the Arise News World Wrap.